The power of faith, the invisible force behind every fortune. There comes a moment in every human life when the noise becomes unbearable. Not the noise outside. The noise inside. The voice that whispers when the room goes silent. The doubt that crawls through the corridors of your mind when the world is asleep and the ceiling above your bed becomes a mirror reflecting every fear you have hidden from yourself. What if you fail? What if you are not enough? What if success belongs only to other people? What if greatness skipped your door? And slowly, without realizing it, most people surrender their future not to poverty, not to circumstance, not to bad luck, but to invisible surrender. Because before a man loses money, he loses belief. Before a woman abandons a purpose, she abandons trust in her own becoming. Every fortune, every empire, every invention, every revolution first existed in a place no eye could see. Invisible, untouched, unproven, uncertain. Before steel towers pierced the sky, someone stood looking upward while others laughed. Before nations transformed, someone believed while evidence mocked them. Before fortunes appeared in bank accounts, they existed in minds that refused to bow before temporary appearances. And behind every one of these triumphs lived a force so misunderstood that modern people often dismiss it as fantasy. Faith. Not blind superstition. Not wishful thinking. Not standing still and waiting for miracles. Faith. The fierce and disciplined certainty that what is unseen can become seen. The decision to believe in possibility while standing in contradiction. The ability to move when proof has not arrived. The courage to walk toward a horizon invisible to everyone else. Faith is the invisible architecture behind every visible fortune. And if you misunderstand this force, life becomes reaction. You become a prisoner of appearances. If money is absent, you believe prosperity is impossible. If opportunities disappear, you believe destiny abandoned you. If people reject you, you decide value no longer lives within you. But faith sees beyond temporary weather. Faith understands storms are not permanent geography. Faith sees winter and still speaks the language of spring. Look at the life of Thomas Edison. Thousands of failures. Thousands. Imagine the humiliation. Imagine the whispers. Imagine the newspapers. Imagine investors doubting him. Imagine exhaustion creeping into his bones. Yet history remembers light, not darkness. Why? Because while others measured reality by present evidence, Edison measured reality through invisible conviction. He saw illumination before the world did. He trusted possibility before results existed. Most people stop when results disappear. Faith continues. That is why faith is dangerous to ordinary thinking. Because ordinary thinking worships proof. Faith creates proof. The average mind says, I will believe it when I see it. Faith says, I will see it because I believe it. That sentence alone has built civilizations. Yet most people spend their lives trapped inside the prison of visible evidence. If success has not happened by 25, they panic. If wealth has not arrived by 30, despair enters. If love breaks, they conclude they are unworthy. If business fails, they assume destiny has spoken. No. Circumstance speaks loudly, but it does not speak finally. Temporary defeat is not permanent identity. History screams this lesson to anyone willing to listen. Abraham Lincoln knew failure before victory knew his name. Loss, defeat, rejection, grief, political collapse. Yet inside him burned something invisible, something stronger than humiliation. Faith. Not faith in comfort. Faith in purpose. Faith that struggle was refining, not destroying. Faith that defeat was education wearing rough clothing. The tragedy of modern life is not failure. It is impatience. People plant seeds and dig them up every morning demanding evidence. People pray for strength then quit when pressure arrives. People ask for transformation while clinging to old thinking. But fortune does not arrive through emotional convenience. Fortune is attracted to endurance. Fortune bends toward those who continue believing when results move slowly. And make no mistake, the world will test your faith. Relentlessly. It will send delays. It will send confusion. It will send humiliation disguised as preparation. It will place obstacles in your path that seem designed to make surrender feel rational. You will stare into seasons where nothing appears to move. Nothing grows. Nothing changes. No applause. No validation. No visible signs. Only silence. And silence is where weak belief dies. But silence is also where powerful faith is born. Because there is something sacred about continuing when certainty disappears. Something transformative about refusing to betray your future because your present feels uncomfortable. A seed beneath soil looks dead. But invisible growth is still growth. Remember that. The universe does not always announce transformation with fireworks. Sometimes destiny whispers beneath the surface. Sometimes your greatest progress is occurring where eyes cannot witness it. The roots grow before the fruit appears. The foundation forms before the tower rises. The identity transforms before success becomes visible. Faith understands timing. Faith understands invisible construction. This is why the dreamer survives ridicule. Why inventors survive rejection. Why entrepreneurs survive collapse. Why visionaries survive loneliness. Because while crowds stare at appearances, faith sees process. The caterpillar cannot understand the butterfly while trapped inside limitation. And perhaps the version of you listening right now has mistaken. Transition for defeat. Perhaps you called yourself lost when in truth you are being rebuilt. Perhaps uncertainty is not punishment. Perhaps confusion is preparation. Perhaps life is stripping away everything weak so something stronger may emerge. But strength requires belief. Not emotional excitement. Not motivational slogans. Belief disciplined enough to survive contradiction. Because anyone can believe when conditions feel favorable. Anyone can feel confident after applause. Anyone can trust life while winning. But can you believe when accounts are empty? Can you trust when opportunities vanish? Can you remain committed while misunderstood? Can you walk forward while invisible? That is faith. And that invisible force has stood behind every fortune since the beginning of ambition. Because fortunes are not built by certainty. They are built by conviction powerful enough to move through uncertainty. Continue.